Hey guys, it's YOU WACK, and a while back I made a video talking about the dive comp and just kind of giving a cookie cut list of different types of heroes that you can try to use when going with the dive comp, because really it's very flexible with how you want to try to run it. Now obviously there are some must pick heroes, but really it can be very flexible when you really look at it from a big picture. However, from this video I do want to show you how to counter it, because while I do try to help you guys out with Overwatch, there are going to be some aspects that really you're not really going to understand fully, whereas if I made a video it can shine light on something that maybe you didn't know when trying to counter the dive comp, because there are some obvious counters which I will list in this video, but there's also going to be some important aspects that you wouldn't have realized that needs to be countered when looking at the different heroes that you can play, and those heroes are also going to be listed in this video. So really what this video is going to show you are the obvious counters and also some of the low-key counters. And another important thing is that this isn't really going to be a team comp type of guide, more or less just heroes that you can play and that are probably going to be heroes that you're most comfortable playing, because it's easy for me to suggest saying, oh, let's say you just pick like a Zarya or something. Me personally, I don't play Zarya all that well, and maybe you fall in that same category. So rather than just say, oh nope, you need to run Zarya, I'm gonna give you other heroes that can still counter the dive comp by yourself, because you have to also remember that this isn't going to be a team comp per se, because your team really aren't going to switch up their whole entire roles to try to counter this dive comp. But really, if one or maybe even two people just switch, then that can be the key to try to win in the game against this dive comp, because there's so many holes in that little strategy that if you can find them, oh bro, it's just gonna tear them apart. So anyway, let's just get right into it. Here's gonna be a list of some heroes that are gonna directly counter the dive comp, but also somewhat low-key counter the dive comp, which can still be very effective, especially if it's a hero that you're very comfortable with. So when you're looking to counter the dive comp, you first have to look at the heroes that are more than likely gonna be in this comp. Obviously there's going to be some must-pick heroes, but there's also going to be some very flexible spots. But the dive comp really mostly consists of Winston and Lucio. It's like pretty much obvious at that point, if they're running those two heroes, they're probably going to be running some sort of dive comp. But for the rest of the spots, it can be still very flexible. So in the tank spot, I always say Zarya or D.Va are going to fill that spot. More or less Zarya, but still, they have the same type of scenario, right? They're a tank, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And in the healer spot, I'm going to say a Mercy, because, well, Mercy is just one of the best heroes in the game when it comes to the res. Some people are going to say like a Zenyatta and throw the orb on the Winston. Again, it can be flexible, but Mercy more or less is going to fill that spot. And then in DPS spot, you're going to most likely see a Genji and Tracer. Now again, if you see a soldier instead of a Genji, it's not going to change the idea of wanting to counter the dive comp, right? If you see a soldier like, oh my god, YOU WACK didn't suggest it. Well, no, it really doesn't matter. In fact, it's a little bit better, because, well, there's not a lot of flankers that you have to worry about, especially if they're two great flankers that know what they're doing. Mainly, you just have to look at the core aspect of the dive comp, and that is, well, the Winston and Lucio. So this is where a direct counter comes into play, and it's gonna be Reaper. Reaper is your go-to guy whenever you see someone running the dive comp, because, well, he can just easily take out the Winston, and that's your main priority right there. Yes, you can take out the Zarya, yes, you can take out D.Va, however, those two heroes still somewhat counter Reaper, but when it comes to Winston, all you really have to do is just go inside his bubble. More than likely, Winston's gonna be in the bubble, and you just have to slaughter him right there. Again, this is kind of like the duh, YOU WACK, of course you're gonna use Reaper, but here's the thing, we all know the counters for heroes, right? When it comes to Pharah, obviously you have to switch to a soldier, obviously you have to switch to a McCree, but people don't do it. It's like trying to act yourself around your crush, right? We all have that girl in math class and science class that we all kind of take a liking to, and we all know internally we just have to act like ourselves and we're gonna get the girl's number, but we don't ever do that. Why? Because we just don't, right? We're humans, we know what we have to do, but we don't do that. Obviously that was a terrible metaphor, but same thing applies here. It's an obvious pick to play Reaper, but people don't ever do it. So I just have to list it right here and just show you the important aspect of what Reaper does. He can take out the Winston bubble. He can still take out D.Va because she's one of the biggest targets on the field. When it comes to Zarya, okay, that's like a direct counter to Reaper because, well, you have the bubble protection, and she isn't this big target like D.Va and Winston. But still, if you want to take out any of those heroes, and even Lucio to an extent, because, well, they're going to be more than likely up and close and personal, because that's where Lucio still is very effective. Granted, he still is great at range, but still, Reaper can take out so many heroes on the field if you just switch to him. Now, another hero kind of sharing the DPS slot that you can still run, because looking at the dive comp, really, it's very up in your face, very personal. When you look at D.Va, when you look at Zarya, Winston, Lucio to an extent, okay, maybe if they have a Genji, they can still be at range, but even Tracer, you want to look at heroes that are going to still be effective at range. So a direct counter still to this is going to be Soldier 76. 6 because, well, the main thing, he excels at range. He's not going to be electrocuted. He's not going to be booped away. He's not going to be, he's not going to be laser beamed. I don't know what the little laser that Zarya has. You get what I'm trying to say. So really, Soldier is just a great DPS hero overall, and he can still take out a lot of the Winston bubbles. He can take out a lot of the heroes on the field. Doesn't matter what they're running. Like, even if they have a Pharah, which can still run great with a dive comp, Soldier is there to counter it, and he's just an overall great hero when on attack and defense. So if you want a comfortable role, like if no one picks Soldier at the beginning and you need a hero to switch to, Soldier is probably your go-to man right there. So now we're going to be looking at heroes that really aren't direct counters to the dive comp, more or less just counters to the aspect of the dive comp, which is kind of up close, very fast-paced type of gameplay. So Lucio is a great counter for 2 different reasons. Well, first of all, he's just a great hero in any type of scenario, in any type of team comp, but really he's great at putting heroes in positions that really are out of position with their team, more or less just countering different formations makes them very protected. But if they're able to boop them in positions that they're not supposed to be in, then at that point you guys can focus them and completely destroy them because, well, they're in a position they're not supposed to be because of his boop ability. But not even that, he's also able just to get heroes out of a situation where they're getting dove because of his speed boost ability. So let's use this as an example. Actually, we're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's say a McCree is just chilling by himself on the right side and Winston decides to dive on him right there. First of all, your McCree's in a bad position. He shouldn't be like that, but Lucio can get over there, boop that Winston away from the McCree, and allow McCree to get out of there, like back up a little bit, so that he can, well, not die from the Winston. So a hero like McCree can easily be countered from Winston if he isn't really smart with his positioning, with his flashbang, but Lucio is able to peel to McCree, protect him, and also get him out of there, and also on top heal him because, well, he doesn't have this big health pool. So again, Lucio, not a direct counter, but really counters the aspect of what the dive comp is all about. So now we're getting into another hero, which so many people are gonna think, no, bro, you act, that's not a direct counter, because no, you're not gonna be getting team wipes against the dive comp. You're not gonna be killing every single hero with this type of hero, but more or less just countering the abilities that the dive comp does bring to the table. And the hero is gonna be Sombra. Sombra is such a great hero because no hero in the game can hack health packs. First of all, you get the health packs, but also the flankers cannot rely on those health packs. So that's a big aspect of what the dive comp kind of relies on, because, well, the flankers, while they might have like healers with the Mercy or maybe have healers with the Lucio, heavily rely on the health packs. And if they don't have that support or that sustain, and you guys do, well, then they're screwed and you're more than likely going to be able to kill them. Not even that, Sombra can also EMP the barriers away from the field because, well, Winston heavily relies on the barriers, or she can just straight up hack the Winston that is diving you. So that's another big aspect, and even hack the Zarya and bring her shield down, hack the D.Va, make sure your defense matrix isn't up. So much about the dive comp relies heavily on the abilities, whereas Sombra with just her regular hack ability or even EMP can help you just take out those enemies with ease. Now this next hero isn't going to be directly countering dive and not even really countering the aspects that it does bring. And you might be wondering, oh, bro, you back, why would you list the hero? Because let's say for whatever reason every single hero on this list is taken, or maybe you're not comfortable with these heroes. Winston is a great hero to go to because, well, he's the #1 picked hero in Season 5 because, well, he's very good, but also he can add the added protection for your team with his bubble ability. They don't even need to stand in, they can stand around it, stand behind it, and they're boom protected. And also another thing, the dive comp really doesn't run a Reaper. Sometimes, yes, you can see one. I'm not going to say, oh, it's never going to happen, because sometimes you will see Reaper with the dive comp, but if they don't have anyone like that, well, you can easily run a Winston because, well, if they are running a Genji or a Tracer, which if they're harassing your backline, you can easily peel to the healers that are getting attacked and just protect them, but also still have a very effective DPS because, well, Genji's direct counter is obviously Winston. So again, a hero that is going to be taking out the whole entire dive comp, but really can add added protection. So here is the final hero that you can try to use when countering dive, but really I'm not putting this hero because I love her, because she's my favorite hero. Really, she can counter so many type of things, but Mei is a great counter because, again, she's not going to be killing a bunch of heroes, but more or less scaring them back to their team. When Winston dives on top of you, May can just easily go to the Winston, freeze him, and there's going to be two things that happen. He's going to be frozen and die, or he's going to go back to his team because, well, he doesn't want to be frozen and die. She's a direct counter to Tracer because your icicle ability is able to one-shot her when it comes to a headshot, and Genji, if he is diving in the back, he can just easily freeze him, and two things again are going to happen. He's going to die, or he's going to go back to his team. So really the main aspect here is that it scares people back to their healers, it scares people back in the back lines, and it protects a lot of people, and even with her wall ability too. So really there's so many parts of Mei that can directly counter dive that people aren't really utilizing that power. And that was just a quick guide of a few heroes that you can try to use. The main thing that I wanted to go with this video is just giving you a wide range of heroes that you guys probably are comfortable with, instead of just throwing a direct like, okay, you need to play this hero and maybe you're not comfortable with it. At least with this, I gave you a wide range of heroes that you can try to use and hopefully stop dives. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching more Overwatch videos to come, and bye.